I have always said on this program that we can politicize everything. But when it comes to justice and security, we need to try as much as possible to stay away from there, because those are the places where everybody must feel very confident and comfortable about whether you have power or you do not have power. But there again, people will say that the president has the discretion. Once the Judicial Council agrees with the president, it is okay. But there must be something fundamentally wrong when you have such a situation. I don't know what you think, Nana.
Well, I wanted to make a few comments on it, but let me just finish, because this is something you just brought up. Have the nominations been announced?
Yes, I'm told that the decision is gone. It's the president has written.
So
yes,
it has been done?
Yes.
You have a copy of the letter?
I don't have that. I don't have that here.
It hasn't been reported? Because I haven't heard about it. It hasn't been reported.
Okay.
Maybe we should wait for it to be reported. These days, all kinds of things come up. But, so I can just make a general comment about, not the specific. But you see, we have all said that the president of Ghana has a lot of leeway, and we have to have changes in the constitution which would more clearly define some of these powers. People have called for a cap, for example, on the numbers of Supreme Court judges. The way it is now is open-ended, so a president can appoint any numbers that they feel. But I imagine there's a check. There has to be on the advice of the Judicial Council.
Yes.
And so the Judicial Council itself should be seized with this situation that we are talking about. People who've been,
because all the appointments that have been made from the appeal court to the Supreme Court, you realize that these persons who've been there longer, I mean, they are...
I'm saying that the appointments that the president makes should be with the concurrence of the Judicial Council.
In this Fourth Republic, the only time, I stand to be corrected, but the only time that I have seen a disagreement from the Judicial Council and even the Ghana Bar Association going to court was when President Mahama tried to make some appointments to the Supreme Court. The GVA even went to court.
Because you see, you have a case where, we have a situation on our hands where the president can even appoint people who are not judges to the Supreme Court. You see, he can appoint people who are not judges at all, right, to the Supreme Court. That's the power given to the president of Ghana. And so, if he appoints judges, then if he can appoint even non-judges, then if he appoints judges. But then I thought the check should be that it has to be with the agreement of the Judicial Council. But whatever it is.
So now let me just correct something. When I was reading out the thing, I said that when I mentioned Henry Kofi, I said I was sure that he was in private practice. In fact, he's an appeal court judge.
Oh, so
he's Justice Henry Kofi. So all three are appeal court judges. And it is indeed true. The president is writing to the Judicial Council. The president wrote to them on Monday. The Judicial Council discussed this nominations on Wednesday.
And they've agreed?
I don't know their decision, but they discussed it on Wednesday.
All right.
Yes.
So let's wait and see how it goes. But generally, some of these powers should be more clearly defined as we go along and try to make our democratic governance more accountable. Because as for discretion, like they say, power corrupts. So the more we try to limit the leeway for discretion, the easier that we can get accountability. Otherwise, We've talked about this. We set up a commission to review the Constitution, I think 2009 or 2010. Spent a lot of money. And I'm sure if you look into the recommendations of that commission, many of these things are in there.
Yeah.
More than 10 years, we haven't done anything about it. So if we want to have a more equitable system, we must make the laws in such a way that the system will be equitable. Now, so that's my general comment, waiting for the announcement. If it comes, I'm sure then every stakeholder will then be free to comment on it.
Doc, the substantive matter about these appointments to the Supreme Court. And as usual, Nana Akomia thinks that it is an opportunity to rather leave this appointing authority, his boss, Akufo-Addo, who's brought us to this sordid point, and go after the 1992 Constitution and blame.
It's looking at the bigger
and
picture.
blame the 19. It's a small, very small picture.
The Constitution is a small picture.
Yeah, what he's doing is not bigger picture. I've always said that look, often we bash this Constitution needlessly. Has Nana Akomia averted his mind to Article 296 of this Constitution? Let's read Article 296 of the Constitution. Article 296 provides, where in this Constitution or in any other law discretionary power is vested in any person or authority, A, that discretionary power shall be deemed to imply a duty to be fair and candid. A duty to be fair and candid. B, the exercise of the discretionary power shall not be arbitrary, capricious, or biased, either by resentment, prejudice, or personal dislike, and shall be in accordance with due process of law. So, Article 296 is the fetter. It is the control of that discretionary power. It's the guidance. What should be the spirit of the use of discretionary power? To be fair, to be candid. So the fact that this Constitution gives you discretion doesn't mean that you can do anything you want. Is it fair that you have people like Justice Jammeh?
So Sammy, just
14
a little,
years.
Sammy, just
Then he's in jail.
a little
12
thing,
years.
just a little thing before you go.
Yes.
You see this 296.
Yes.
Now, you would have to
Yes.
go to court
Yes.
to get the court to pronounce that indeed something that is being done
Yeah.
by a person who has the authority
Yeah.
frowns,
Yes.
offends this.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it is that process.
Yes.
Because the thing is not in black and white.
Yeah.
But I hope you understand.
I get you. But Doc, do you know that the countries that have advanced, that we admire, the great leaders that they have produced, is because they are guided by these things, these provisions, and they will not be blatant in their recklessness, so that waiting for somebody to go to court or daring their citizen to go to court. I want the ideal situation where leaders will be guided by Article 296.
But we have demonstrated.
So that you know that even though this Constitution gives you discretion, you should know that there are duties imposed on you in the exercise of that discretion.
Sammy, we must,
to be fair, to be candid, not to be capricious, not to be arbitrary.
Hey, you let the man.
Sammy, in practice, we have demonstrated that we lack that kind of leadership.
It means, look, we must begin now to interrogate the kind of leaders we vote for. I mean, where is personal integrity? Where are standards?
The Supreme Court.
Where are principles?
Sammy,
no longer meritocracy. And
Sammy,
just imagine how
Supreme
they
Court
will
just
lead
last.
to
You listen small.
Sammy, the Supreme Court just last month, or 6 weeks ago, belatedly gave judgments with respect to 2 decisions by the president.
Yeah. Yes.
Constituting violations
Yes.
of the Constitution.
The Constitution. Yeah.
Now, somebody had to go to court.
Yes.
Yet,
Yeah.
look at the time.
Yeah. How long?
That-
3 years.
Yes. So, people went to
Yes.
jail.
Yeah.
People were jailed.
Yeah.
over what the Supreme Court now says was unconstitutional. But the deed has been done.
Yeah.
On the issue of the Auditor General.
Yeah.
Long after the deed had been done.
Yeah.
I hope you get the point I'm making.
Yeah, it became moot.
So that's the problem. That's the problem with the exercise of and this is, I'm even talking about instances where people decided to go to court.
Yeah.
And so
there was no speedy trial.
Yes, you go to court on an issue which is happening. And if it takes the court 3 years to give a ruling at the time when the substance of the issue is moot, it only serves to guide future conduct.
Yeah.
But does not deal with whatever when the infraction was occasioned or the breach was occasioned.
Yeah.
Is I believe that these things, as for discretion and leaving it to public officials, let's find a way of tightening it so that the discretion will be limited. Otherwise, you're going to continue having these instances. And then, like you are saying, it becomes who decides that this is not a proper use. Then you have to go to the court.
And you know, when I mentioned the issue, Sammy,
Yeah.
you know that I did not even refer to Justice Henry Kofi.
Yeah.
Because he's one of the most senior on the appeal court. I think it's number 3 or so. Yes.
Look at that.
So
Look at that.
I mean, that's why I
that.
refer to.
Yeah.
But if you look at respectfully, the other two.
How long has
1
he
year,
been on the court?
I think over 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
But you said somebody's been there for 14.
14
Yes.
years. Yeah.
Justice Jamafe 14. Justice
Dennis Ejay.
Ejay.
I mean, and Dennis Ejay,
Has
we
been
all benefit
Sir
from
Dennis.
his writing.
Dennis,
Sir Dennis.
yeah.
Sir Dennis. I mean, I'm
Justice-
always on
Justice
the lookout
Margaret
for
Wellborn,
the
Justice Cecilia Hansi Sowa.
So
If you were these justices, how would you
So
feel?
look, to be fair to this constitution, the constitution hasn't given any president a blank check to just do whatever they want.
But that's
Article
what's been happening.
Article
But
296
that's what's been happening.
is to guide them. We
That's what's been
are
Apparently-
voting for people who don't take
Apparently,
personal
for
integrity seriously.
both of you, let me give
don't
you
have
information.
standards,
Apparently,
don't have values.
the Judicial Council has discussed the issue. They've interacted with the 3 justices. They have written to the president. So, I mean, the approval. They've interacted
The
with
Judicial
justices.
Council.
Yes.
And that's supposed to be the...
And now there are no objections, right, from the Bar Association.
No.
The Judicial
They've not
Council.
gone- they've
What
not
they
gone to
did to
court, they are
President
not raising an
Mahama.
issue. No.
Yeah, they are not doing
Nothing.
this country. God help us.
Because, you know, this thing about discretionary power, Randy, we're talking about the Auditor General's case. You remember in the period after 2008, that's from 2009, there were a lot of these complaints that, and indeed, even in that time, the president at that time did the same thing to the sitting Attorney General.
Auditor General.
The same Auditor General. So we missed a great opportunity to avoid these instances of leaving such wide discretionary powers in the hands of 1 or 2 people by not doing the constitutional amendment. And I can tell you, if we don't address our minds to it, we have to blame ourselves. It's like the Supreme Court thing. Of course, you expect that we should have a certain limited number of Supreme Court justices. But every president that comes appoints justices. Now, I don't know the numbers. Of course, the workload is heavy. But if it's open, any president can come and appoint any number of Supreme Court justices that they like. We've seen it from the little history we've had. So it is probably time that we tighten it. And it runs all over with this discretionary
So
power.
Nana, if I can ask you a question. How do we then explain this in societies or countries like the UK, where they don't have a written constitution? You take some other countries, their constitutions are not as voluminous as this. Few pages. And yet their leaders act so responsibly. I mean, you can see the principle.
If you
can
went
see the fairness.
Let me tell you something.
I mean,
If
so
you
what?
went to the UK...
We want to legislate everything.
No, you can't legislate everything. But if you went to the UK today, or you went to America today, you will find debates and anxieties about this same.
In fact, Mark
This same thing.
who's watching us from the US,
I don't think it's a...
Mark Ojoboafo says something interesting. He says that
matter.
currently there's pressure on President Biden to appoint Democrats to the Supreme Court, but he says no. He doesn't want his name to be tainted as the one who increased the number during his tenure as president. The number 9 has been there for long, and he respects it, although he has the power to appoint.
Yes, they think about their legacy.
For them, it's been so even this 9 is not written in law.
No,
but it's been there for so long.
Yeah. You know, we too for a long time we were 13, beginning to have
so
like a convention of 15.
In our case, let's have something.
Article 296 or 296.
Article 296.
Let's have leaders with conscience.
That's what we are talking about. Every leader that comes, we blame them. Once we don't agree, we have blamed them for not having conscience.